Hi there. I'm still on my hiatus. I'm in the middle of this 2-week break in the regularly scheduled programming of my channel. But I figured that this would be a great opportunity to step aside and allow some emerging voices to be heard in that very pretentious way that leftists have of saying things. See, when I was starting out, there were a couple of bigger channels. I'm thinking specifically of the Iconoclast and Aiden Paladin, who were very, very helpful to me, and they invited me to put up guest posts on their channel. Now, at the time, I had only a few hundred subscribers to my channel, and they had tens of thousands of subscribers. And so it was a dream offer. It really helped my channel grow. I figured that I should return the favor by stepping aside, as it were, and letting other smaller channels have a little go at you, my audience. I really like the content of the guest posters that I'm going to be having on over the next few days. They are all uniformly terrific. Very different in style, very different in approach, but it's content that I enjoy. And so I figured that you'd enjoy it too. So the first one we're going to have today is a guy called Endeavour. Endeavour has a little over 1,000 subscribers, I think. And he puts out great content, Nothing fancy, real meat and potatoes kind of content, but it's got great quality and very thoughtful. And I, for one, enjoy it tremendously. I think that he's going to do very well. And so I figured that, might as well get on the ground floor and claim a little credit for the success that this guy is going to have. So without further ado, I present to you Endeavour.
Hello, Endeavour here. As you know, Coach Red Pill's on vacation this week, so he's asked me to do a video for him while he's gone. If you like this video, you can check out my channel afterwards. It'll be linked down below. Enjoy.
It is so important that we all understand that it's not only that men can be feminists, it's that men should be feminists as well.
Poverty is sexist.
Maternal love is the love that's going to change the future of mankind. So we'd like you to look into
we
that.
like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind, because it's more inclusive.
Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, and as anyone who watches Black Pigeon Speaks will know, the former substitute drama teacher and part-time ski instructor. Justin is a new male. That's new spelt N-U. He's not a macho man. He's a feminist, an advocate for tolerance, equality, and diversity. He's challenging white privilege and toxic masculinity to build a fairer society for all marginalized people. Justin Trudeau is the perfect archetype for the beta male. Men devoid of any masculinity, who see a virtue in submission and a vice in dominance. Men who allow themselves to be walked all over, thinking it righteous, whilst only proving themselves weak. And the beta male is symbolic of the state that we find Western civilization in today. A civilization that lacks confidence, that's afraid of itself, that sees self-flagellation as virtuous and self-esteem as dangerous, eaten through and through with guilt and self-loathing. And it's in this West that beta males like Justin Trudeau have risen to the top, because today, Western man has become a beta male. He's a far cry from his ancestors, the Vikings, the Templars, the Spartans. How did Western man, once the alpha of the world, become a lowly beta male? Well, we have to consider what man's purpose is in nature. It's man's nature to be an alpha, to be a leader. It was up to him to gather resources to provide for his family and to defend his land from invaders. He would have to brave the elements to hunt for food, and in times of war, it was the man that went off to fight. And this required men to be tough. He needed to be tough to survive. This is what civilization was built for in the first place, to make survival easier. Civilization allowed for men to band together, to farm, to build permanent settlements, to create enterprise, and to form an army to defend their civilization. And there was no better man at this game of civilization than Western man. Europe became the best at enterprise and the best at war. And it was this ingenuity that allowed Europe to become the greatest civilization and to expand across the earth. Only 1 century ago, Western man stood at the top of the world as the undisputed alpha male, having won the game of civilization. But then disaster struck. Western civilization plunged itself into not one, but 2 world wars, which caused levels of destruction unparalleled in history. It's been said by many that the 2 world wars were what made the West lose its self-confidence. But why? The history of Western civilization had been full of war, murder, famine, and disease. Western man had faced every hardship imaginable many times before. Why was it different this time? Because the post-war era brought about something that the West hadn't seen before. It brought about the promise of everlasting peace and prosperity. Once the wars came to an end, the West made a commitment to make the Second World War the last World War. They decided to make a global effort to end all wars. Now, of course, all wars didn't end. There was the Cold War that went on for about 40 years, but nothing ever came from it. The Cold War came to an end, and armed with nuclear weapons and the might of NATO, it appeared as though no force on Earth could ever again pose a threat to the West. The World Wars brought an end to the old order in the West, but the new order was able to bring about prosperity. It was only a few short years until the West was economically as prosperous as ever. And in the decades that followed the war, quality of life reached heights never before thought possible. Everyone could have a house, a car, a television, a mobile phone. Obesity became a bigger problem than malnourishment. Scarcity became a thing of the past. At this point, Western man found himself in a position that he never had before. One where he would never have to face the threat of his land being invaded and never have to face the threat of being without food or shelter. He could enjoy everlasting peace and prosperity. And it was this promise of peace and prosperity that brought about the beta male. Because Western man was told that he would never again have to worry about being without food or shelter. He would never again have to worry about his land being under threat of invasion. He no longer had to fulfill his natural responsibilities as an alpha to survive. And this has been the case for generations now. Now, the West is populated by an entire generation of men who have no concept of scarcity or insecurity. So Western man became weak. Since the end of the Second World War, the West has been plagued with guilt over its past. But white guilt only ever could have developed in such an era of decadence. Because men in the West today have never had to fulfill their natural responsibility as a provider and a warrior. It's already been done for them. They know nothing of the sacrifice that their ancestors made to defend Europe, to brave the elements, to face famine, war, and disease. They only know the fruits of their ancestors' labor, but not the labor itself. And that is why white guilt became a thing. Because Western man today sees himself as unworthy of the seemingly endless peace and prosperity that he has inherited. He sees his position in the world as unjust, because he knows nothing of the struggle that it took to put him there. He has been given an abundance of wealth without any sacrifice, and he has taken that abundance for granted. Western man of the modern day, who knows nothing of the sacrifice that it took the West to get to this point, has developed an unnatural belief in egalitarianism. He wants to bring to others what he has been given. He now sees it as oppressive to be assertive and virtuous to be submissive. He sees the haves as having too much and the have-nots as having not enough. He is completely unable to stand up for himself. He can't say no. Western man has become a beta male. And in this unnatural state, he has lost the natural instinct of civilizational defense. Since Western man of the modern day has never faced a real threat to his land, he has become careless and weak, and his carelessness has put the West in danger yet again. In his weakness and naivety, he has opened his borders to the rest of the world. The beta male that is the modern Western man sees himself as doing what is moral. He thinks that he is doing the right thing by sharing the abundance that he was fortunate enough to inherit. He sees himself as righteous, but in reality he is only foolish. Because the men that he has let in, especially the ones from the Islamic world, they're not beta males. They have experienced scarcity, they've experienced war, and what their ancestors would have fought wars for, they have been handed on a silver platter. The beta male sees himself as bringing about equality, But the beta male is an unnatural creature. As he foolishly hands over the reins of Western civilization to foreigners, he deludes himself into believing that he will be given the same kindness in return. But he will receive no such thing. Because man in nature does not want equality. He wants dominance. There's a saying, strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times, and hard times create strong men. Western man was the strong man of the world. He was able to create a civilization more powerful and more prosperous than any seen before in history. And men of the present day are a product of those good times. They have become weak. The good times have taken away their need to fulfill their natural roles as alphas, so they have become beta males. And it's these beta males who have put Western civilization in danger. They've left the gates to the West open and its power and abundance there for the taking. Thanks to these beta males, the West is in store for hard times ahead. But if there's one positive to take away from this story, it's this. The beta male will not last. Once the illusion of everlasting peace and prosperity is gone, man will once again be subjected to his nature. He will again be faced with the struggle of scarcity and insecurity. And through the hard times ahead, a new alpha will rise. Will Western man once again become an alpha like his ancestors before him? Will he come again and defend his land? Will he take charge over the civilization that he has inherited? Or is this the end? Is this where Western man falls and a new alpha takes his place? Because it's alpha males that rule civilizations, and it's beta males that destroy them. Which way, Western man? If you enjoyed this video, head over to my channel and subscribe for more content like this. Link in the description. Thank you for listening. Till next time, Endeavour.